Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this very cool live stream. We're going to talk an awful lot about data. Let me introduce my fellow co-host today, Mod Spear.
I'm on the wrong side of the camera, mate.
Are you on the no, you're on the right side. I need to speak in that direction, at least for me.
No, I mean, I'm used to being behind it.
Oh, yeah. So Mod Spear is our producer. We were going to have Mod Dawn, but because of the internet stability, sadly, we thought we'll go with Mod Spear instead. So please send some love towards Mod Dawn. He was looking very much forward to it, and he was very excited about the date as well. So that's that.
Yeah.
It was heartbreaking almost. Before we go into the data, just two quick ones. And I imagine loads of you will ask questions about it in the chat. So Jagex has a new parent company. If you want to read anything about that, we have released a page or an article about that on our website, so read that. We will not be answering any questions about that. And then secondly, I think about an hour ago, we released a new post which was called Double XP Live, which is kind of the rebrand of Double XP Weekends. So have a read of that. Don't get confused. It's not live yet. It will be on May 8th, on that Friday. So look out to that. And now we're going to reveal the title of this extremely cool data live stream. It's my first one to host. I'm very excited about it. I've been spending a lot of time on this. Let's reveal the title of it. RuneScape by the numbers. Quirky and everything, but it's a great title. I think it's a really, really cool slide deck. And there's a massive props to Mod Crocodile for putting this together. So it's going to be really cool.
Who came up with the ideas for some of the questions and the data in here? Because I've had a look through, and where did you pluck some of these from as ideas?
So there are a couple of things. So I put a tweet out earlier as well. Some of those are from there, or I've actually got a couple of the answers to some of those questions without having the data as well, I think. All the JMods were allowed to submit a bunch, and we've just looked and added things that we thought are pretty cool. So it's just a combination of all kinds of things in a very interesting order, and we'll kind of see how it goes. I mean, I'm excited. I hope all of you are excited. I think I'll also be. We will not go into much depth about boss kills this time. We'll more so do a bit of a focus on Slayer. But the boss skills is definitely something that I would like to look into sometime soon anyways. So maybe we can get like a small data stream or something at another time. But we've got a lot of very cool data. Shall we go to the first section?
Yeah.
There we go.
So how many skill pets have you actually got?
I've only got one.
That's my
I've got one.
I think I've got 3 or 4. I'm not like it's not a good collection, but it's at least the start of a collection. I'm trying.
Well, so I was very happy with my skill pet, but then when I saw the next slide, right? So shall we just jump to it? I got a little bit sad, in all fairness, because I've got Brains, the farming pet. So I was like, oh yes, I've got the farming pet.
He's the first one I got.
Not a skill that's not been. Historically, it was not extremely popular. Of course, with Range Out of Time and what's it called? What's the fancy update? Playrun Farms. There we go. Of course, it's become much more popular, and I think you can see that back in these stats as well, because it's not in the corner, but these are all the most earned skill pets from 2019. So that's from the 1st of January of 2019 till the 30th or 31st of December. I never know when the year ends. So that's why we've got Brains. The Constitution one, I'm kind of surprised.
Yeah, the fact that Morty's at the top of the list suggests that people spend more time getting hit than doing anything else. Which, I mean, I can vouch for, because I basically take forever to kill most enemies at this point. But
like it makes sense, of course, that Rocky and Smithy, the mining and smithing pets, are quite high up. We had, of course, the mining and smithing rework at the beginning of the year, so I think that's quite nice. And then, of course, followed by your. Then you've got your usual combats, and then fishing is for some reason quite popular as well. So my question is
getting food for combat, surely.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, I guess so. it's probably not a bad shout why that is the case for that. My question is, do all of you know in the chat which is going to be the least earned skill pet? So that's a good one. I also like how we did some calculations to see like how many on average came in each day. I see a lot of agility, rune crafting, build construction.
I'd expect it to be one of those two, yeah. Maybe invention because it's slightly newer and you can only get into it at a higher level. That makes some sense as well. But at the same time,
Yeah,
I feel like a
I
lot of higher
expect
level
to see that as
players
well.
do quite a lot of invention. I've seen people spending billions recently trying to get the new best in slot perks with all the archaeology ancient invention stuff.
Yeah. I see a lot of people spamming dungeoneering as well. Shall we take a look at what the least earned skill pets are from 2019? I need to do it on my side as well. I should have just chucked yours in. It's fine. So as people were, I think the majority was actually saying construction, which only is 17 a day, which is barely any, I would say. Followed by rune crafting. I think that's quite expected as well. I personally was expecting cooking to be higher, and herb lore as well. Herb lore, of course, with the herb lore to 120.
Kind of, you do end up constantly leaning on those skills when you're at a higher level for stocking up and keeping supplied for PVM and.
Oh, I just saw someone in chat who only had Herbert as well, which is quite nice. You're lucky in that case. I only had the farming one.
Yeah.
So
construction I can understand because for a lot of players, once you've maxed that skill, once you've got your house the way you want it, you're not going to come back to it and keep hammering away unless you're going for the 200 mil, or you're really just trying to get the pet. Like that is very much a pet hunter's pet at that point. But I think rune crafting, you think you'd have to go back and do that occasionally to refill, but I don't know. I don't really main mage.
I think it's also easier to train rune crafting because you've still got rune spend you can go into, right? So that's makes rune crafting slightly less like grindy. I think construction is very grindy with the way how you have to train it. If you want to be a bit efficient about it.
A lot of these are ones you really need to buy into as skills as well. Summoning, herb lore, you're going to end up spending a lot if you're specifically trying to get the pet because you're just going to try and get as many different ingredients going all the time as possible to try and trigger it.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So we've talked about them for 2019 here. We've also had the pet amount for 2018. We also requested that one. And we've already got a total of all the pets up until now, and I think that's up until the 23rd of April, if I'm right.
Yeah, that's what I saw on the thing.
There you go. Let's take a quick look at that graph as well. This kind of surprised me. With the amount of pets that have come into game this year.
Yeah, I've just read the average per day has gone up from 3.5 to 3.6 to 10,000 a day. Is that all down to Archie? I mean, he is a pretty good pet.
Yes, a massive amount of that is up to Archie. We'll take a look at Archie later on when we're talking more about archaeology. But archaeology has brought in an awful lot of pets, and of course, like we've got loads more people playing and everything as well. So like it's done a pretty massive thing in there. But I was equally surprised that we're already on the we're making good progress towards beating
We're 6 days away, yeah. If it's 10,000 a day, we're 6 days away from beating last year's, I think, before the midpoint of the year. Wow.
Yeah, so the line is not accurate, but it is like a projected projected line. So no worries, everyone. Like I imagine it will tail off again. Yeah, like I think that it will tail off instead of even go faster. It's not an exponential, but who knows? It might be. I think it's
get more people playing in. Eventually, that number's going to keep going up and up.
I am kind of surprised that we had like about 50,000 more pets in 2019 than in 2018. And I don't know if there's a particular reason for that. But nonetheless, that's pretty cool. Shall we move on? So this is a category that some of you did talk about initially as well, and wanted. Oh, you've got the pet one there. What? Okay, I've got it in a different place. That's fine. We'll talk about Archie now.
This is what you gave me, bud.
All right, it's fine.
It works out because now
Archie.
It's not just Archie who's made that huge difference because that's what 1.7k per day Archies, so it can't. So where's the other?
It can't
roughly 5k a day come from? Yeah, 4 to 5k pets a day come from. Why is that suddenly?
I mean, it's already at 38,000 was in the span of 22 days. At least that's so. I did the calculation. I divided by 22, and then you'll get that number, I believe.
I think I got mine day 2. I think I was
You
probably
got-
one of the
you-
earliest J mods to get Archie. If you scroll back from my Twitter, you can find it. I was immediately on there. Yes, lunch break successful.
No, I'm still hunting for him with my 61 archaeology, but it's not too bad. I don't know. And anyways, like I think Archie has been going on strong though with people getting Archie. I also know that quite a few people were interested in how many Archies were destroyed, or who destroyed the most. That is not something we were able to run in time, but it is still on the list, so I'll see if we can still get a figure out of that. I think it would be quite nice to get a number on that. I also see quite a few people sharing whether they've already got Archie and at what level they had him in that case, so it's always nice. I like that.
It must have been
It's pretty good.
the 40s, I think, 30s, 40s.
Oh,
Pretty
you were
lucky,
very
very
lucky
lucky.
then.
Yeah.
Very lucky in that case. Cool. Shall we move on? Let's hope you've actually got the right thing now on the slot. Yes, we're going to move to Anachronia. That's what I was talking about initially. So Anachronia, a lot of people asked whether we also would talk a little bit about Anachronia. I think it released about 6 months ago. I think we're reaching that. Maybe even slightly longer. Something like that. It's been a while.
Couldn't tell you.
I mean, working on RuneScape is just such a... It just goes so fast that you just forget about the months
I've
of when
got an
stuff gets
excuse.
released.
I've only been here 2 months. I have an excuse for not knowing this.
That's true.
But it's been-
We'll let you off too.
How close to RuneFest was it? Because it must have been around the same time. It was 6 months ago.
Well, I'm trying to figure out whether we released it just before RuneFest or just after now. No, we've released it after. We released it
RuneFest was
after
sort of-
RuneFest, so it might have been November time. Yeah, it's been November.
Yeah.
It's about 5 months.
There you go.
I'm glad everyone is helping us as well in chat to tell us when it is. 10 months ago. 10 months ago, let's say.
Oh, you're only 50% off. That's fine.
It was July, so it was July. What? Am I thinking of the
promised
RuneFest
the
before
stats.
that?
The stats are more
Oh.
accurate than he is. These have been
Yeah.
done properly.
Yeah, okay, so let's just move on.
Speaking
I'm
of which,
getting
yeah.
confused now. I'm thinking the Herblore 120 one. So yes, it is July 2019. There you go. So a lot of people were interested in agility. Thanks for correcting me there. I'm thinking of the range indeed. Agility, the lap time. So we've run a query. The fastest person. So the record right now is I was not able to find a name. But he did it in 4 minutes and 23 seconds, which is, I would say, pretty fast. It's almost twice the average lap time, which is pretty cool.
Half.
Well, so, yeah, but you do it twice, yeah, a half, or he can do it twice within the average lap time, right? You need to be creative and look at different angles, all right? And the slowest one being 29 minutes and 46 seconds,
Now,
which is quite slow.
How does that happen? If it takes the average player 8 minutes, is it? I've not actually done this properly myself yet. Is it potentially that difficult? Can you fail things over and over again, or is it just that someone must have AFK'd in the middle and gone to get a drink or something, forgotten about it and come back?
I mean, I think someone must have gone for like at least 2 or 3 cuppas in order to get like a 30-minute time.
Yeah, someone chats to you and they must have gone AFK.
Oh yeah, so they probably must have paid.
Someone else just declared they're going to go set the new slowest lap as well. So good luck. That's a contest that could literally go forever.
I would love to see that, because I imagine there's also some kind of variable or something that at some point ticks over if you've not done it fast enough. It's like it can't be running forever, right? You can't move away and come back.
Maybe there is at half an hour, and maybe that's why it's only 29:46.
Potentially, I don't know. But that's the one we've got recorded. But the next graph, which is kind of an overview of all the times, which I think is really cool. And usually, with a graph where it's about times or whatever, you've got one spike and then it goes back down. It's like a
smooth bell curve normally. But
exactly. It's not the case.
No,
someone
must have come up with a strategy at some point or something must have come out, and a lot of people suddenly jumped on an idea that helped them get it 2 minutes quicker. That must have been.
No, it's not that actually, or we don't think it is, right? So because when we initially saw this, we were quite confused as well, and then we were like, why could this be the case?
Yeah.
So my question is,
ignore the minutes at the top; they're the wrong way around. The fastest and the slowest.
Yes,
the bottom is correct.
The fastest, slowest we've flipped around. So my question is, does any of you have a guess why there is a second spike around the 7-minute mark? Because I heard the theory today, and I was like, this must be it.
Double surge and bladed dive. That makes sense.
I probably would say
you can only get double surge by doing the agility course, can't you? And grinding the fragments.
Yeah.
So maybe it takes 8 minutes up until the point where you've got double surge, and then you can take off a bunch of time from it. That would make a lot of sense. That would explain why it's such a clear divide.
So you would that was initial thought as well, right? But that would mean you would still expect some kind of nice bell curve, even though it's more granular. But it's proper a spike around the 7-minute mark. And what we think it is
flat.
Exactly. Vova Cuckoo 7 just said it in chat as well. We think it is because that you can get an achievement for completing it under 7 minutes.
Okay. So
So people die hard. They die hard it once, and then after that, they just go in relax mode if they want to continue it. So that's why we think there is a spike around that 7-minute mark.
That's cool.
At least that's our best guess. So
yeah, I want to know how they got it down to 4 minutes. There's got to be a strategy there that I don't know about.
I mean, I think that's when you're properly doing all your dives and everything in time.
It must
so
be
yeah, that is really cool. That was actually the theory that Modself came up with. So I think you're right, and I'll just give you a shout out as well. It is a lot of sometimes we see things in data and we don't know exactly what causes it. This was a nice example of those, and it took us quite a bit of time to figure out what it was. Cool. Shall we move on to the next one?
Yep.
So
this makes a lot of sense.
This is the Big Game Hunter engagement. I imagine that many of you will know why there is this massive spike. We'll get to that in a second. What I do find very interesting about this as well is you can see that it took a little bit of time before players were a couple of days before players figured out that the dragon matics were actually coming from Big Game Hunter. And you can see Archaeology launched, and there's 2 days after where it kind of became public information, which I think is just nice. It just shows how fast communication can kind of go, right? Nobody's doing it, and then bam, everyone is doing it again. So that is pretty cool. And we knew that people knew it on the first or second day as well, that it came from Big Game Hunter.
Yeah, you can sort of see the first day when it became knowledge and everyone jumped on it. I like to think that little second spike that comes afterwards is when people realise how valuable it still was.
Oh yeah, but the first day you see a little bit it goes back to normal, because usually I think it's in the weekends it's usually quite slightly more popular, but there it kind of stays up. So I think there are probably a couple of people that initially they knew you could get it from Big Game Hunt, and they're like, I'm not going to tell anyone. I'm going to try and farm it to make as much money out of it as possible, and then it leaks, and then indeed everyone jumps on it and becomes general knowledge. So that is quite interesting. Do we have some more about Anachronia? Yes, we do.
Yeah.
So this is the wrench out of time, and we've specifically named it Animals Looked After by Players, because this registrates it every time someone visits the animals at the wrench out of time. So that also explains why you can see around the 24th of February why there is a small spike there, because people are very busy with double XP weekends. And if they're too busy, they are not very good parents of their animals, and they don't visit them, and they get hungry. But luckily, people after double XP weekend go visit their animals again. It goes back up. And then you've got archaeology, and then everyone is like, I don't like my animals anymore, and they never bothered with, which I find very very interesting, because after double XP you can kind of see it climb back up. But after archaeology, people just kind of almost stopped caring about their animals. Which is quite interesting. It is also worth...
There's a couple that spiked quite hard in the middle of archaeology. What was it? Frogs that made them suddenly jump back up again?
Yeah, the frogs do jump a bit. We don't. I think it's just a small spike in general. The reason why salamanders and frogs and ginkgos generally are a bit higher is because you can have more of them in a pen at once, and each animal in a pen counts. So if you've got 3 salamanders in a pen, but only 1 big dino, then for Salamander it counts as 3, and for your big dino it counts as 1. So there's a little bit of a change in the data. But it's also interesting to see that in the beginning there were an awful lot of frogs, and slowly over time they get replaced by the dinos, for example.
Someone in chat's just reminded me, frog spawn for the Infernal Source mysteries. That'll be why frogs, pardon the pun, popped up again.
That's a good shout there. I saw another question. Why not show the other animals? Because this was specifically for Anachronia, so we've only requested the data for Anachronia. There's so much data. Like, we've had the data team look this up especially for us. What do you want to say?
I would be interested to see this, but for cows specifically. Because when people discovered that you needed the Harlequin cow, I think a lot of people probably started breeding cows. I know I did. As soon as I went, oh god, I'm going to have to do that to get ancient summoning. It's such a big...
I'm going to open a notepad. I'm going to add that as a cool question. Maybe we are able to get some of these. I don't think we'll be able to get all the answers.
Not within the next hour, but...
Oh no, not within the next hour at all, but... I mean, there will be quite a few nice questions. I've also got... I don't know the mod name, who's been helping us a lot. He's typing to me... Oh, wait. Let me read this. Mod Camon was... I'm trying to find out. I've got one of the data analysts typing to me right now with some information. So we'll find that. What did he do? I think Mod Camon had the fastest completion time, but I don't think that is a real mod though. I am Camon. I don't know. You have to write in a fancy way. Let's continue for now, and we'll get back into it in a second. Oh, wait. So we've got Mod Camon, who is a data analyst, who helped us with it. He's insulting me now. I will not reuse these words.
Anyway.
So yeah.
Moving on to our hot button topic of the last month or so. I'm sure we're all sick of hearing about it at this point.
This is the thing that all of you have been playing for the past month-ish. So
any nice surprises in this section for the thing people have been asking about? I know there's a few.
I think it's full of. People have been. I think I'm going to call Mod Camon out here. He called me out earlier for not looking in an Excel sheet properly. But he said he looked up how many people destroyed Archie, and he's coming back with 0. But I'm pretty sure I even know people that have been destroying Archie. So, just saying, Mod Camon. Anyways, let's start digging into archaeology, shall we?
Oh, I'm sick of that pun as well.
Archaeology, the XP game. So this is actually before archaeology, right? So we see the usual, or the mention at the top, construction, summoning, hunter, more so at the bottom. I think that's kind of expected a little bit as well. Of course, your combat skills are in the middle. But now the question is, what happens when archaeology comes out? Because this was like very surprising to me.
My big question is, what happened to fire making to get that big spike, and is it crafting or wood cutting? One of them took a massive downturn in pre-archaeology. I
think it's crafting, or not. It's crafting. I don't know. It could be that we internally readjusted some levers to make it track accurately. A lot of people are saying yak track.
Crafting event.
Crafting event and yak track.
Both of those would explain, and then it dropped off again afterwards. It's not something you generally keep training, is it, after you've maxed and got what you need?
Yak track is making fire smack. I mean, I think we need to hire Chet as like a data analyst or something. That would be fun. It's like we don't know anything, and there will always be a player that knows the answer.
Yeah, and the hive mind is strong. But do you think they can guess what happened when archaeology came out? The way these trended.
I mean, I think some players have vaguely already seen something via some other images and stuff. But I suggest let's go to the next one, because this was surprising to me. It's like, at that point, just nobody even bothered about any other skill, and it was like, let's just do archaeology. Like, it was just archaeology all the way. And this is a weekend archaeology.
Yeah, so we've lost the key for what's what colour. But if memory says green must be hunter, because you can see it turn down and immediately jump back up a bit.
the colors are still the same. So let me get them out. So the top skill at that time is still farming. So for some reason, people are still getting their farming XP, albeit it's still a bit less. I think that's still just people tending their farms and actually looking after their animals instead of not looking after their animals.
The cows again as well.
Yeah, and you've still got your invention and constitution on the third and fourth spot. But what was quite interesting as well, you see all skills take a massive dip and only archaeology jump up a little bit, and that is because everyone at that time is still a low-level archaeology level. So like the amount of XP earned the first day was like surprisingly low in comparison to any other day. But then after that, it is of course gaining quite a bit of speed. So you can see archaeology after a week, like it's almost double of any other skill. It is actually double of any skill. But this is the question: what happens if you add another 3 weeks to this? I think so. If you go all the way to the 27th, it just doesn't stop. It just doesn't stop. It keeps amazing me.
Yeah, invention's taken an upturn there again. I think a lot of that's going to be people leveling up Matux, isn't it? Once they start getting to the higher levels in archaeology.
But you see that you see that some people, or some of the people, stop training, or they start training other skills again. But you see invention in particular at the top because you've got ancient invention, of course. I think you also see quite a few people testing out the new relics and all that stuff that help you in combat, which brings constitution back up. But it is interesting, and and you only know about like last week. You slowly see like it's leveling out again now for archaeology, but like there is about 4 or 5 times as much archaeology XP coming into the game than any of the other skills right now, which I think is absolutely insane. If you ask me about it, at least. So,
so it's almost on 4 times every other skill combined at this point. Which going like, is that just more people coming back and playing? Is that there's so many people who are just completely maxed on 200 million they don't actually gain experience, and now they are? Like,
I think it's of course we also have more players in the game right now, partially due to archaeology and also COVID-19. But it is still very cool. I actually had a Excel sheet somewhere with the XP gains, the numbers itself. I can't find those, but it is pretty sick. So yeah. Oh, there you go. I got the actual answer for the archaeology pets destroyed. 113 people have been destroying their archaeology pets. And they destroyed a total, or about 150 archaeology pets. So there are a couple of people that have done more than one. So there you have got that as well. Just don't destroy your pets and look after them with care, okay? Yeah. I think they deserve a little bit of love. And in particular, Archie, he is such a mummy's boy. I couldn't resist. I'm sorry.
You're a sucker for a pun. Anyway, moving on. This is the current. When's this from? Is this from earlier this week, or is this how recent is this?
No, so this goes all the way up to the 27th of April. So this is that we actually use the Archaeology XP curve. So this is not the amount of people that we're playing right now, but it's just in comparison. But if you look at the end, you can see the current skill band archaeology level people have on average, and when they transition. So you can only see that like the top 30%, I would say 35% is currently level archaeology 81 or higher, which is pretty impressive. This is from our active players right now as well.
I am just in that group. I think I'm on 82.
Yeah, no, I'm in a solid top 50%, so I'm not complaining about this. But it is quite nice to see how this graph is going as well. And we've still got loads of new players coming up, players that are not as interested in archaeology, and they've only got like it's somewhere between 1 and 10. So that is pretty nice as a number. Shall we move on?
Tell you what, the people who get from who make it to 10 do not stay in 11 or 11 to 20 long, do they? Everyone really blitzes up until about the 40s, and then it starts to slow down again. You can actually sort of see the speed each section takes. And actually that's quite accurate, because I think 60 to 70 actually kind of is a little bit slower than 71 to 80, and I think it's just because there's more interesting stuff.
I mean, there have been players saying that, like, in particular initially when we released it, between 50 and 65, or 55 and 65, they said that like it feels a little bit slower times. And I think you're right, you can see it as well. But like the first 40 levels you blast through, once you're engaged, like you said, I didn't even really look at that. You just go ham in it, which is insane. And
yeah, once you're in, you're in.
Yeah, and only like 1 or 2% of the players has level 120 or higher, so that is massive, in my opinion. Cool. So yeah, there you go. Let's take a quick look at the. Now I actually had the archaeology pet in my slide deck, but it's all right. I'll still forgive you. So if we look at the archaeology collections, a whopping 1,192,205 collections has been completed, and that is an insane number to me, at least. And this was as of the 27th of April, which is worth pointing out. That is, I think, like, I'm trying to do maths, but like a lot of people have completed a lot of collections. So that is quite nice. And each collection is about like between 5 and 10 items, I believe. Something like that, which is pretty impressive. About that. But the thing that I was... Go for it.
No, after you, by all means.
Aw, how kind of you. I was expecting Zerosian 1, Museum 1, for Zamorakian as well to be near the top. I was expecting Zerosian 1, because I personally find that quite a faff. I was not expecting that to be the third most completed. So I was actually thinking of Ceradoma 1. Yeah, it's quite nice.
It makes sense to me, because whenever the carry that pylon would go off, everyone would just rush there. And because unless you're in the... Oh, it's got to be 60 plus, 70 plus to mine the lower areas in there. You're going to stay in that top area, which is Zerosian 1. So you may as well fill it out, hand it in for the batteries, get the extra XP, fill up the pylon again, get stuck in the cycle forever. It's good fun.
That is actually a pretty good argument for that as well, which is interesting. But I am also very much surprised that like Magic Man, Museum, Bandosian 3, Knowledge's Power were only completed about between 740 and 764 times. Well, I was expecting that to be a bit higher.
I'm not sure. I guess Bandosian 3, you only do it once because then you hand it in for Tetracompass pieces instead, don't you? And as for like all the little ones, the Magic Man, the hat collection and stuff like that, you get the first reward, and then you kind of probably want to put the relics somewhere else for more XP gain or chronotes.
Yeah, I guess so. But this is also like, because some of these you have to require 119 archaeology, I believe, or 118 is one of the two. So true. It's like these are still like a lot of players just simply cannot complete them. But even then, I would have expected, particularly for people going for 200 mil, that they potentially would have continued completing them at least. So yeah, if we can also take a slightly more in-depth look at them, I believe. If we go to the next slide. There you go, here are all of them. This is a massive list. We probably want to make it slightly bigger for a brief moment. Yeah. But it is it's a nice curve. You see a little bit of a bell curve in there. Ceratomus 1 is also quite popular there, I think. So yeah,
all the early level ones, which makes a lot of sense. Blingy things is on there quite high up, which I wouldn't have guessed, but I think you get a fairly useful relic from that one, if memory serves, or at least part of what you have to hand in to get one. Can't remember which one exactly. Green Gobbo goodies. I know a lot of people farm the Bandosian ones for experience.
It is interesting to see that the majority of the museum sets remain popular, but I think it's also just a bit of convenience how easy it is to hand them in, probably.
Yeah, and you need chronotes constantly, so to get in a slightly better chronote reward from those than you get from handing in repeats of some of the other lower ones, it makes sense that the museum would be higher.
Yeah. Shall we move on?
Yeah, so I'm just examining, fascinated.
So I asked them to include one of these as well. So I've took 4 of them over a longer period of time, the completion rates, and it's not extremely clear to see, but if you do a good job. So initially you see the spike for Zamorakian 1, which then goes up, and that goes down, but as that line goes down, you see Zamorakian 2 come up, and then as soon as you see Zamorakian 2 go down, you see number 3 come up. So there's like this kind of fancy wave effect, and then I saw that. It's not extremely clear, but I just found it very cool.
Yeah, I don't think Zamorak's one of the bigger ones for farming for XP, so it kind of makes sense as to be just what people are doing while they're leveling. Bandos is
Yeah.
big for XP. Zaros stuff's all big for XP because you get the batteries and can hand them straight in.
Hmm.
And I don't think too many people farm Armadil either, because you do that when you want the blueprints, but you don't keep farming Armadil because the blueprints stop being useful to you after a while.
Hmm. Yeah, I guess, yes. Cool. So that's mainly the thing I wanted to share. Shall we move on to the next one again?
Yeah,
Oh, you're already there. Jeez.
Yeah, so I'm excited.
You're quick. So these are the cool ones in my opinion. So these are the amount of relics everyone has unlocked.
Well, actually, that top one tells us exactly how many people have completed the tutorial, doesn't it? That's the first thing you get.
Yes.
The 500 health buff.
Oh, they actually had the comma in the wrong direction, I see. So it's 246,055 people have at least the Font of Life relic. So you can't complain about that.
Yeah. So
which
the
is
ones
quite
at
nice.
the bottom aren't actually ones that are... They're not all ones that are stupidly high level. Some of them are just ones people haven't worried about getting because they're not the combat.
I mean, Inspire Effort, Inspire Love, Inspire Genius, Inspire All four are quite high level though.
Yeah, but Abyssal Link I think is lower level than any of those. Off the top of my head, I seem to remember it being because that's the one that lets you teleport without runes and experience.
Mhm. Yeah.
And Conservation of Energy is the run energy. You don't use run energy anymore.
Yeah. I mean, the Font of Life just how every player basically just has 500 more HP now, which is quite nice.
Yeah, definitely.
So this is which players have unlocked them. This is as of 27th as well. But if we go a slight further, this is the cool one. These are actually the relics that people are using.
Oh, that's cool.
So you can see kind of which relics are extremely popular. And this
I think I'm still using Font of Life at the moment. Obviously, I've not unlocked everything, but I think I've got Font of Life, Death Ward, and Luck of the Dwarfs. And I feel like the people who have gone and unlocked Luck of the Dwarfs and put the ring on it are all... You can see it's almost all of them are using it as well. There's only 700 people weren't at this time.
That's the thing that surprised me. Luck of the Dwarf is a very popular one because you actively have to slot that one in. Like Font of Life, everyone starts with, and I can also imagine that people they expect unlock the second relic unexpected diplomacy, so they slot that one in as well because they're not hitting their relic power cap. But after that, people purposely have to start using it, so you can kind of see which ones are quite popular. Like Heightened Senses, 5,092 people have unlocked it, but only 177 people are using it. Is to me like quite a big difference, and similar to Deafness.
I guess Luck of the Dwarfs is probably the one that's the biggest investment, isn't it, in terms of throwing money at it to unlock it, and maybe there's a couple of others, like another one that requires Darok's. I smell what the item's called, Darok's thing that got quite expensive when it first came out. So you've unlocked that one. Was that Persistent Fury, Resistant Rage? Sorry.
I know. Yeah. I mean, I see a couple of people want to use Berserker's Fury. I'm seeing people.
Amulet of the Forsaken.
Amulet of the Forsaken.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not a bad choice.
I think it's the only one my level for my level I haven't got, but I'm a bit of a completionist and I've gone around and tried to find and collect all the other ones as much as possible. I've also actually got a few of them because you can actually use Soilty to boost your level to get the relics and still hand them into the monolith. So I'm only 82, but I've got the one you need to be 84 to get, and the ones you need to be 83 to get. So good tip if you haven't got them already. You can use Soilty to get the last couple.
Not too bad. Cool.
Yeah, worth knowing about.
I mean, it's always good to educate them. Cool. So, and this was actually a question that was asked a lot when we put it on the when I started teasing a little bit about the data stream. A lot of people were curious how many more Hazel Signet rings entered the economy, and I find it very, very interesting to see. So we've got 23% more Hazelmere Signet rings, but at the same time, 17% of all porters in the game just vanished out of nowhere within a month.
That's amazing.
And that is quite interesting because generally items slowly enter the economy and it never goes down because people kind of stop playing or whatever and it just stays on their account. But to actually see like such a big decrease of signs of the portals is insane, because this is the decrease. Like, it's not the ones that leave the economy, it's the decrease. So there are more leaving that are entering the economy right now. So that's pretty cool.
Makes sense, I suppose. Yeah. The Hatem, his signet ring. Are these all Seren spirits pretty much? Because I've Seren spirits really, really interested in screening dirt. They love watching that. Get so many of them doing that.
Yes. So I see a lot of people saying, "Oh, well, 23% doesn't have a value." We specifically did not want to give out the specific numbers of the hero items. We will not do that for the Tony's Hero Matic and all these others as well. It is because it can have an impact on the economy, and we thought it's not us. We would not want to do that right now, and if we want to do, we probably want to give you guys a heads up that we will be releasing them so that everyone can get ready for them. If we want to give those items, if you really want to hear those numbers, and it's the same for the maths and all stuff, let us know. We can look at it, but that's why we specifically stayed a bit vague, just because we don't want to create massive demand or a massive decrease in value of items, really.
But speaking of drop rates,
we'll go into them as well.
Segue.
Also, the 17% of there's minus 17% of the porters is like millions and millions of them that left the economy, which is absolutely insane. Yeah, this one needs a little bit of an intro. So we are about a month into archaeology. We would promise that we would talk about the drop rates a month in. So I thought, now we're talking about archaeology, we might as well give the drop rates for a couple of those items.
Yeah, I know a lot of people have been asking for these in chat.
Exactly. So we'll go and talk a little bit about them. I like how everyone is like, "This is it. This is where it's happening." So there's a 1 in 1,000 chance to get a key from a Tetra Compass. And then there's a 1 in 10 chance to get a Shadow Key, which of course guarantees you the Hero Matic.
Okay, yeah, right, so I'm with you. It's Shadow Keys, or these distorted keys, the other ones, aren't they?
Yes, so it's basically a 1 in 10,000 chance to get a Tony's Matic. Then you also have, a lot of you guys are saying, but there's also a small chance to get a Hero Matic from a distorted key, but we're gonna drop a little bit of a bomb here. You're not getting. There's no chance of getting a Hero Matic from a distorted key. I know some of you have been claiming or saying it does, but that's not the case.
Oh, that's mean.
That is mean. So it's kind of like Russian your blueberry special. I mean, yeah, see it as your blueberry special, right? You've hit the table, but then you were unlucky. So
that's a good question for us. How many people in chat have been blueberry specialed? Because I've got friends who have, and it hurts.
A lot of people must have. But I do like the mind-blowing moment here.
Yeah, that's
but
top 10 anime betrayals, mate.
I mean, like we could have kept it a secret, but I think like it's better to clear up confusion like that if there is in the community. So 1 in 10,000 is the chance to get a Hero Matic from a Tetra Compass.
Blimey.
So keep opening those Tetra Compass and keep completing them as well. Cool. Shall we move on?
Yeah,
there you go.
This is the one.
This is the one. This is one that's been a very interesting discussion. A pretty hot topic over the past couple of weeks as well.
I'm going to bring this full screen so you can read the small text at the bottom because it's.
Yes, I'll call it out as well.
Important.
So there's a 1 in 1 million chance to get a Inquisitor staff piece if the pylon is active and you're just at any of the excavation spots. Then at the same time, there's a 1 in 75% chance from the Praetorian remains at any time, as well as the ancient magic munitions, and 1 in 100,000, my fault, and a 1 in 50,000 chance from war table debris to get it. And these only, like, it's a 1 in 1 million chance once you get a material. So once you're successful excavating thing, that's one of the things to note. And then these chances are increased if you are using luck rings, of course. So you go. I know it's a bit controversial. We had a good bunch of conversations about them, but I think it makes sense to reveal them. Of course, I also add like we will review it, and we will be talking about it with the team as well. And if we feel like we need to make change to any of the drop rates that we're showing right now, we can still do that as well. So that's that. Shall we move on to the last one? Oh no, we've got a couple more. My fault.
I think it's just one more in drop rates.
Oh, it should be two. That's the other biggie.
Yeah, we were debating about this earlier, trying to understand what that exact rate is. Big Game Hunter. We don't know if it's just meant to strictly be worse than Tetra Compasses, but
I mean, it's a 1 in 101 chance to get it from Big Game Hunter. I don't know. I'm curious to the JMod who was like, you know what? I'm not going to make it 1 in 100. I'm going to make it 1 in 101. It's such an odd little detail, but at the same time, I think it's also a bit funky and funny. I can love it. So yeah, it's a 1 in 100 chance from Big Game Hunter.
Is that per dino as well in the fight? So you get free rolls on that if you do a triple. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yes, I believe that there is some kind of. I know there is anyway something that you will get more. You are more likely to hit certain tables if you get a double or a triple, anyways. So it is in line with that at some point. To a certain extent, and of course, a 1 in 100 chance to get it from a Tetra Compass Pass.
That's not actually horrible. That has actually given me hope that I will manage to get one at some point.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is pretty decent to do. We had I share this as well because I find it interesting. I'm kind of curious how the rest of the chat thinks about this as well. Is with archaeology we had the race, of course, and because you can get this from existing content, is it something we potentially should have already add in advance into Big Game Hunter that you can already kind of stock up on it to make the race an equal level floor or a level pane? Was it? I'm saying it right. Yeah. Level playing field. There you go. I was getting there, which I think is interesting. Or should we just do it all on the release and that there is a little bit of RNG in getting it? I think that's a fair discussion to have at some point.
Yeah, I like it. It creates an opportunity for people who aren't like power leveling the new skill to still do something to either make support a friend of theirs who's racing perhaps, or to go and make mad money, because a few people did, I know that much.
I see the majority of people saying release it on release and not allow them to repair. Alright, I was just curious to feedback. I see someone mentioned the spear tip drop rate. I'm starting to struggle. So we've got that one as well. For all three of these, it's the same applies. Every time you excavate a material, there's a chance to get those.
You can get it. You get these from complete tomes. Was that the tome from when you dig? So
if you dig, there's a chance to get a complete home as well once you excavate the material. That one in particular is the specific one, so we'll focus on that first. So the chance to get a complete home is 1 in 250,000, but the 250,000 is divided by your excavation level and your archaeology level together, and it gets divided by that. So you are much more likely to get it at higher levels, and once your excavation level is higher, than if you start new. So you supposedly have to see the quotation mark or the things around it in a proper formula. Spear of Annihilation 1 in 50,000, and the Tetra Compass piece is also 1 in 50,000. And for the Spear of Annihilation tip, you have to be at the Bendos Sanctum debris excavation, of course. So that is pretty cool. People are asking me to explain the excavation level. Let me double check.
So that means the level of the place you're currently excavating. So a level 118 spot plus 118 arch level, so 118 squared. Divide 1 by 2. 1 over 250 divided by those two times together. Math.
I'm loving your math here so far. I mean, we can do a math stream if that's what you prefer.
Oh, please.
And yes, and these drops are also affected, and these are also affected by your rings of luck rings, of course. So we've got that. Quick math.
Do you remember what's next?
Oh yes. I mean, I just clicked on it on my own slide like that I've got open. We're going to take a quick look at the average player. And I think there will be a couple of bits that will surprise all of you here.
Yeah, how many people reckon they're above average in all fields?
Oh, yeah, I'm curious.
I had a brief look at these, and I think I think I'm just over average on some of them. I think I'm mostly in the safe half of this.
I mean, we've got 2 slides, so we are going to look at average player age in years, combat level.
Well, not player age, account age.
Or account age. Yeah, no, that would be an odd one. Sorry, yeah. So
yeah,
account age,
we haven't
total
been
level,
9-year-olds.
quest points, combat level, and total XP. The one that surprised me quite a bit is that the average account age is 9.2 years, and this is because like what is an average player? How do you define that? So what we've used as our average is a 28-day active player. So that's a player that's been playing in the last 28 days, and that we are certain of isn't the bot, isn't doing anything dodgy or anything. So we wipe out quite a few, and then we keep over a bunch of players that we feel like you are good. And then if you've been playing the last 28 days, we've put you all on a pile, divided you by the amount, and this is kind of what we've got.
Hang on. I'm just receiving notes from I've forgotten his mod name off the top.
I think Mod Ryan.
It's hard. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. It's hard starting something new when everyone has 2 names. It's very complicated. But yeah, have you got the same message?
About the Tetra Compass piece.
There you go. Yeah. You go.
Yeah. Okay. So can we go back to the slide? I wish I could draw on it. There must have been something wrong. Yes. It won. Let me double check.
Yeah, so that should be 1 in 1,500, not 50,000.
It is higher, I think. Let me double check. That one, what is it saying? It is saying, I've got my camera over it. It says in 1 in 50,000. We'll just get the confirmation. He's typing to me right now. We're building up the excitement for this one. He's typing 1 in 1,500 to get a Tetra Compass piece. So
yeah, that's a lot better.
1 in 1,500. That's significantly better. Yes. Thank you for clarifying. That must have gone wrong in the translation or the typing somewhere. Apologies for that. And thank you for paying attention as well, Mod Ryan, and telling us that we were wrong. But that happened. I'm not going to lie, we only finished this deck like 15, 20, 30 minutes before we went live. So if you see any more types, please let us know. We'll happily fix them up. But if we go back to the average player, we've still got some really cool stuff.
How many of these you are over average on?
I'm over total level. I'm 1990 at the moment. I definitely below average on quest points. I'm not much of a quester myself. Combat level, I'm also beating just, or I'm exactly on average, and my account age is nowhere near. And total XP, I actually don't know
total XP. No, it's not something I keep track of, but I think on everything else I'm over the average. I know my account's over 15 years because I've got the cape for that. I went back and checked a while ago, and I still had access to all 3 of them because the account I literally made back when I was in school, and I still play it. It's great. I've got all 10 quest points as of this weekend. As of this weekend, I got my quest cape, sorted that out. I think I'm 124 on combat, so not quite up to max yet, but slowly working my way there.
I mean, that's good progress, though, I'd say.
Yeah.
Start getting into we can also. Oh yeah, I mean, I'm going to do a lot of engineering this weekend supposedly, so let's see if we can grind out some levels there. Shall we take it? Oh, you've already switched to the next one.
Yeah.
So this is the average skill level for each of the skills, and this is as of April 23rd. It also includes archaeology, but of course that since then has become slightly higher already, because I think that's the only one that's probably moved up a couple of levels. And this is the average of an active player. So active 28 play days. So that includes very new players and very experienced players, and you get like this nice average mix.
Yeah, I think I'm just over most of these, except for invention. I definitely wasn't over 47 on the 23rd. Pulling the average down. Sorry, guys.
I think I see a lot of people saying, "Oh, the average stats are rather low, or everyone is a bit shit." But I think it's also important to realize that we've got a lot of, also still a lot of players in game that are not level 99 and everything or whatever, right? So
yeah, well. good question in chat is, does this include free-to-play players? And if so, have we taken them out of members-only skills?
That is a good question. Let me double check. I think they are all members. Even we filtered free-to-play as well. Double checking. Active players is members only, right? Pretty sure I did ask him about it. And I think it is. They're all members as well, because the average member should, of course, have membership, right? In my opinion, should just add like a is member check mark on there.
Yeah, possibly. And the other question that's been asked is, does this consider virtual levels? But looking at the numbers, I wouldn't suspect it to.
I don't think it does. I think it. I imagine it would probably either just look at the exact level or the XP, maybe. But I think just the exact levels. It must be the exact levels.
Yeah,
because we don't tend to do any of our data with virtual levels. Really, we just only count the actual levels, because otherwise we do in our systems, in our data, we don't have the virtual levels. So that would actually be quite difficult to track that.
Yeah.
Good questions,
surprising
though.
on here? Yeah, anything surprising on here to you? Anything stand out? I'm not surprised. Like rune crafting and construction are pretty low.
I'm kind of.
This pretty much follows my spread of skills, and that these are the ones I haven't bothered grinding out. Whereas like my attack skills probably my highest at the moment, and mining's my the first skill I've ever maxed.
So the attack skill or the combat skills, I was expecting to be the high. I'm a little bit surprised by fire making and wood cutting. In particular wood cutting, because because I was expecting herb lore, mining, smithing, and farming. Where's farming? Farming to be like relatively high, because you can actually go to 120 in those skills. So I was thinking that would push the average up a little bit.
At least with player-owned farms, I've found leveling farming's been quite hands-off. You kind of go check in once a day.
Yeah.
That's all I really do at this point. I've got 80-something farming now, I think. High 70s at least.
Well, yeah. Well, I think then again, like this also includes a lot of players that have actually recently come back, of course.
True.
Because and before that, they've probably not engaged as much with player-owned farms and those kinds of places. So
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Leveling farming.
At least that would be my guess. And then we're gonna go over to Slayer. Skilling was that. We've already had a lot of skilling stuff. I'm gonna go over to Slayer, and I think we've got 3 or 4 graphs in this one, 4 or 5 even. I don't know.
Your favourites in this one, isn't it?
But we're also gonna look at my favourite graph out of all of them in there, and you probably want to sit on the edge of your seat for that one, and also pay very close attention, because it's going to be a tricky one. So shall we just take a look? Oh, you've already opened it again. Yeah. So these are the players that have completed the most Slayer tasks up from January 1st till the 23rd of April. So we've got Monorzai 957 in number 1, in spot 1, and then Men versus 200 mil in 600 with 619 completed Slayer tasks on a decent top 10. They on average only complete like 3 tasks a day exactly, which is but that is only it's more. No, it's more. It's significantly more. That's for 2020. So from 1st of January till the 23rd of April. So they complete 8, 9, something like that. 10 a day, 90 days long. That's so it's completing 10 on average, which is I think quite a lot. So we've got Monzo on spot number 2. I see a couple of people calling him out for being the blue party hat guy. If you go to the next slide, he's going to get a lot more recognition for his efforts here. He has completed the most Slayer tasks in the whole game, and by a pretty big margin as well.
Yeah, just a little one,
just insane. Just a tiny bit. 8,592. So that's pretty nice.
What are you doing at that point? Because quite a few people have 200 million XP, right? And they must have they've obviously not all done that many. So I wonder how many he did past maxing, like maxing.
I think he just enjoys Slayer in general. Maybe he gets like some nice cash out of that as well.
Yeah, if really wants the Slayer points for different items you can buy from the reward vendor, maybe. I don't know. Any theories in chat? blood shards.
Uh,
That's what I'm
I
seeing.
don't know. I saw someone saying, "Where's Zezima in this channel?" Oh, where's Chard? That he's not here. I'm afraid he needs to do more Slayer. I'm genuinely surprised there's such a gap between number 1 and number 2 with Balzor, and then also between number 3 and 4 again. And then after that, it's like a pretty nice graph, which is pretty cool. Also, it's worth noting this is not all time. This is since the 31st of March 2014. That's when we started collecting it. I know we introduced Slayer a little bit earlier, but I don't know if that's exactly the time when we started introducing Slayer tasks the way they are right now, or we did something with that. So there we go. Then if we go to the next one, we also looked to the individual that completed the same Slayer task the most often. So we've got Monzo at the top with 1,689 Abyssal Demon Slayer tasks, which is an awful lot. And then we looked at the other Slayer creatures as well. So I see a lot of people already calling it out, but there's been a person that decided to do, for some reason, 798 crawling hands, and that's Daddy Mark. And I think he just loves crawling hands or something. I don't know. It's a little bit of what you want. So yeah, it's just what you want. I just love it. But I thought it's a bit of a funny stat to to show these, because these people must have like a veto or like an argument with these creatures almost. They've sworn their life to keep killing them or something, and they're succeeding pretty well. So it's quite nice. Shall we then now go to my favourite chart?
Do you want to explain what this is first, because it's a little bit.
So what we've done. Okay, so what we've done is we had a list with the top players for each of the Slayer tasks. So we had the top 5 players completing each Slayer task the most times. So we had 5 records for each of them. And we
also
sorted
have a list
them.
of which is the most popular monsters to go after.
Kind of. But I mean, yeah. So you're gonna just switch straight to my favorite one. So this one requires this is a very old one. This requires a lot of explaining. Read it and try and understand it.
Try and translate it. Yeah.
So what we've done is we've took the list and we looked at people that who've gone above and beyond for each of the Slayer creatures and killed them the most times, or have completed the most Slayer tasks. But we thought, what if we flip it upside down and we look at which person has completed a specific Slayer creature, Slayer task the most times, but it's still a very low number.
Yeah, so it's the Slayer task. No one has completed it more than 81 times for Spiritual Warriors, but this is the person who has gone out of their way to complete Spiritual Warriors 81 times. So this is the one they're the least repeated. That's probably the best way of putting it. It's the most completed of the least repeated quest Slayer tasks.
Thank you. I mean, we've tried to explain it with this extremely lovely word, but I thought it's just so oddly specific that we'll include it. So someone has indeed completed 61 cow Slayer tasks. Don't know why. Maybe he likes cows.
Well, clearly
it's
not.
What you want. Yeah.
Clearly, he hates them with a passion. He likes being paid to take care of them.
I mean, I just find it was so odd and so weird that I thought we have to include this, so I did. You can send the complaints about this one to me if you want. I'll happily take them. So yeah, but we thought we'll shout them out a little bit as well. So Tom J65, I'm very glad that you've completed 61 Cow Slayer tasks. I think that's pretty cool. And
unique achievement. Fair play.
And you are the hero though. You can be like, dudes, I've got a record in RuneScape. I am the guy who completed the most Cow Slayer tasks. I mean, how cool is that? None of you can say that. Only Tom J65 can. So there we go.
Yeah. Moving swiftly on.
Moving swiftly, yeah, we'll get there. Cool. So we'll look at a couple of PvP and PVM deaths charts, which I think are equally as cool. Just jump straight into them. So these are the people that die due to PvP, and I'll actually open the chart quickly as well because
a bit more in depth,
so I can see it a little bit more in depth. Where is it? I've got a lot of card charts. There you go. We did not add the exact figures, but this is ordered by combat level, by the way. But near the top, it's 6,000 people. On the far right, on the 22nd, it's about 6,000 people that died in PvP. That is both the Wilderness and the Duel Arena. And what is quite interesting is that it is mainly you see a lot of low-level people that die in PvP, and then you've also got a chunk of the very high level.
So the 31 to 40 margin, is that a level you hit if you're going for a pure? Is that possibly why there's such a big lump there? Or do people just get really aggressive in their 30s?
I mean, I think in general people in their 30s can get quite aggressive, but I don't think that's related to your RuneScape level. I think it is because it is quite easy to get levels, and I think around that level they probably accidentally wander into the Wilderness. So that's when they get picked up.
Just to clarify quickly, the top bracket there is 131 to 138. It's just labelled wrong. You can see underneath 121 to 130 is duplicated. So.
Oh yeah, it is labelled wrong. You can see some small errors because of our work, but still there. So these are the people that died to beat him. You've got a lot of people who are probably actively fighting each other, so that's why you've still got quite a few in the higher combat. But if we look to the other side of the graph, these are the killers, and as soon as you look at that, it is a massive amount of people. It's the same. The bit about the chart is off. It should be 130 to 140. But then you see that low levels barely make any kills, and suddenly all the higher levels are the killers. And you can't see it on this graph, but what is interesting, the top bit of this is, if I look it up correctly, is 3,500. So a killer on average kills about 1.75 people per day, if they're actually a killer. So the way we calculate this is like if you either kill someone, you're a killer, but if you kill 5 people, you're still just one killer, right? So that's kind of how we got this bit of the stats.
And 1.75 is a fairly healthy KD. Like you're definitely winning more than you're losing if your average PK in that case. But does that mean that?
I mean, to me, that mainly means
just never kill anyone and just get killed quite a few times.
Well, for me, I think,
one of them.
yeah, like if you go back that one slide, I think, can you go back a slide? There you go. Yeah. Yep. I think the players between 0 and 30 are those players. I think that's the additional 3,000 people. They're just the people that suffer and they can't do anything about it.
Bless them.
So I think that's what happens there, right?
Yeah, makes a lot of sense.
Which is quite nice. And then similarly, if we go another one further, there you go. These are the deaths due to PVM. Similarly, you see a lot of people die in the beginning when they start playing, and then they figure out the game.
This is
PVM.
Bosses, is it? This is anything.
No, so this is everything. These are all creatures and bosses, whatever. So, and I'll also, I think this is actually quite interesting. If you guys can name a couple of bosses or creatures, I can have a quick glance with how many specifically are killed by a single creature. I can't look at Talos and Rage percentages, but I can look at Talos overall, for example. The first one I saw an awful lot was AOD. Let me see if I can find that quickly in my graph.
Someone's requested cow. Quite a few people have requested cow.
Alright, level up.
Are they the true Slayer villain we didn't know about?
So, Angel of Death, let's take a quick look at you first. Now this is me trying to find something very quickly. Where are you, Angel of Death? Alright, I'm struggling to find that one. But I do have... this is classic me, of course. I did see the cow a second ago. How can I scroll down in this one? I'm building up a lot of tension here, I know. I definitely look at the cow. So the cow on average kills... on average, right? So actually on the 16th of April, he killed 3 people. which is quite impressive. But on average, he kills about 0.75 people per day. So he gets quite a few kills.
Think.
Yeah.
That's 3 kills in every 4 days. That's pretty...
It is, and the highest one we had on the 2nd of March. We had one of them die who was between 2,400 and 2,600 as a combat skill level. But you've also actually got people with high combat levels die as well. That guy was also between 130 and 140 combat, so that's quite interesting.
And died to a cow.
And died to a cow. I don't know how they do it.
So many questions. Was it a Slayer task? I need to know.
Let's see if if we can find AOD still. I do have regular necks, at least. So next self kills. It might very well be AOD as well. Kills about. I mean, it goes up. So even in those graphs, you can see as well a little bit on the 1st of May. Are we in May? April. 1st of April. You can also see that drop because of archaeology, right? So that happens as well. But right now, on average, 450 people are dying to necks each day, which is quite interesting. Let me open the Abyssal Demon as well, because I saw quite a few mentioned as well.
Deaths or individual players?
Total deaths. No,
okay, so
total deaths. Yes, you can die multiple times to the same one if you want to. But if you look at the Abyssal Demon, on average, about 150 people die to Abyssal Demons each day, which I think is quite significant as well.
Yeah, that's not small.
I saw someone mention the chickens as well, so we'll take a quick glance at that as well. Are there any other absolutely terrible creatures as well that we need to check? So the chicken kills less people than the cow. Worth noting. The chicken also managed to kill someone who had a combat of between 80 and 90 on the 27th of March. But I think
I might have seen. I'm sure I saw an Iron Man recently who got killed by something horrendously stupid. I think it came up on Reddit the other day.
I mean, that could have been, of course, be the case. But the chicken kills on average someone every 4 or 5 days. Highwayman.
Yeah, you've got to look up the Highwayman.
Is he in there though? Is the question in my list.
Oh, the Dark Wizards outside Varrock.
The Highwayman. We got the Highwayman. He's not killing as many people anymore as people probably think. How many do you think he killed?
On average day?
Yeah.
3 or 4 these days. I think people have wised up.
I would say it's about 2. Ooh. About 2 people get killed by the Highwaymen every day. But mainly their combat level is between 0 and 10. So yeah, they're not doing the people have definitely got a lot smarter. There we go. We'll do one more and then we'll move on as well after this one. So I would love one more good suggestion.
Let's pick a real boss this time. So,
let's get one more proper boss.
Chaos Elemental. Someone just said.
Oh, they want to see the Ripper Demon as well.
I don't know. The Ripper Demon would be an interesting one. Yeah.
Well, we can take a quick look at the Ripper Demon as well. I actually saw the Ripper Demon straight away, so I've got that one up. The Ripper Demon kills about 250 people every day now. It used to be slightly lower, but in particular since archaeology, after archaeology, a lot more people have started killing Ripper Demons. But before that, it was about 160, and now it's like 250 people die to Ripper Demons each day.
So it started off higher than Abyssal Demons, and then it's gone up by another about 40%. Nice.
Let me get the Telos one quickly. Where is Telos? Telos the Warden. Telos kills only about 250-ish people as well. So it's not as high as you think it is.
Yeah. Sure, if I tried to do Telos, I could do 250 of those deaths. But
the thing that I do find interesting, though, looking at Telos's graph, is that all of the people that die to Telos are between 130 and 140 combat. So that is like...
You're not gonna... No one's gonna try and front up to Telos without being 138, are they? Or at least close.
I mean, yes, you say so, but it's still interesting. I mean, because a lot of places, they've still got like a decent mix of high and low level characters. What I'll do, actually, I've got. Did I see the Queen Black Dragon as well? This is when they test you. Yeah, like we've got the Queen Black Dragon as well. If there are any specific one, please just tag me on Twitter and I'll see if I can answer a few more. The Queen Black Dragon, on average, kills about 80 people. So decent, but not extremely high. And the majority of those skills are also people which have between 131 and 140 combat. So,
really?
Yeah, she still does a pretty. She does a pretty good job. Yeah, like you can already start killing them a bit earlier, can't you? Cool.
Now, shall we move on? We've got 2 more bits to get through.
Yeah, we've got a few more. We're already 20 minutes over.
Sorry.
I mean, I'm enjoying this though. Cool. We've got a couple of miscellaneous heroes. These are some things that we find interesting, and I think one of them was actually a question as well. Also, just answering a quick question: 140 combat confirmed. Nice. So the way we do our data is we split them up in categories of 10 levels, because like seeing it on an individual level is not that useful, so we split it up in categories. So we do it in per 10. Similar for levels, we do it in groups of 200. So that's why we build our groups like that. There you go. You've already moved on. There you go. So if we look at the transactions,
back in full screen,
and this is exactly around the period of archaeology as well, which is quite interesting. At least I find it highly fascinating. This is exactly 3 weeks or about a month. Like the GE is one of our bigger systems, and it's actually quite difficult to have a nice bit of data of that. And we have 2 graphs. So we've got the transaction volume, and it coins transferred. So the transaction volume is the if I'm correct, let me double check. These are it's
the white line. It's in millions on the scale, and it goes up to 1.5 million transactions it peaks at.
Yes.
And that was right at the start of Archaeology.
Awful lot.
Pretty,
yes, yeah. I believe these are individual items. So there's an awful lot of transactions, and I think a lot of these are probably chronotes. But the coins transferred is even more insane.
Yeah, I think a lot of the ones at the start are probably more materials, and then it probably comes into chronotes later on once everyone's got their start and stuff, and it's just selling to the highest player. Of the 4 million or 4 trillion, sorry, much bigger than that.
It is 4.6 trillion.
God, is that when people started getting to Dragon Matic levels? No,
I mean, what we think it must have been at that time that someone sold an extremely expensive item or something. No, it must be multiple of that as well. We don't know. It might have been a weekend day. What is it, 14th? Let's take a quick glance. We had a quick investigation as well. 14th. 14th is a Tuesday as well. So no. It is like, but the value of those items that got sold must have been quite high, because there were fewer transactions at that time as well, which is very interesting.
Came out, people are saying, possibly
could very well be that a lot of people.
Yeah, I think it's probably just when the archaeology buying kind of probably hit its peak there, because people would have been selling Dragon Matox. People would have been buying and selling staff pieces and trying to get their hands on those because it's best in stock for certain fights.
Oh yeah. But I just want to stress the point though that on average, or right now each day, about 4 trillion coins change owner. 4 trillion, which is an absolutely insane amount though.
Yeah, that also means you can kind of figure out the average cost per item that goes through as well. If you look at the peak value, and I'm sure I'm going to do math on this slightly wrong, but it looks like the average item's of about 400. It can't be 400k. That can't be right. Unless transactions means per pile of items. I don't know.
And it's just sheer, like, trillions and trillions of JP get traded each day, which just highly fascinates me. So yeah, I thought it was just worth showing. And you can in this one you see, like, just before archaeology was coming out, you see a lot of people starting to sell and buy stuff, and then once it comes out, like, it's just even like an additional spike on top again, which is just really insane. And it's been stable since as well. There's no sign of a decline yet either, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
So the last question is less about money and more about who's the most fashionable.
This is a fashion statement here, indeed.
Where's that?
So I think this was a query from. Yeah. I mean, I think that this is literally, like, you can see it in the bottom right as well. These are the values set since 2017. So basic wood, of course, I believe is your default. So players that have visited their houses since then, or have actively set it or got created, they will also count towards basic wood. But after that, so I think basic wood is probably some of the less interesting ones to look at. But then you've got the other 6, and apparently. Fancy stone is doing its name justice because it is fancy, and that's why people want it.
I'm using fancy stone. I'm fashionable. I'm quite happy with that result.
I'm not gonna lie, I've not really bothered with my play your own house, so I'm definitely in the basic wood category. I should maybe do like a spring clean. I know we're slowly leaving spring now and entering summer, but maybe I should do a spring clean and make it a bit better. I was kind of surprised because. The Relic style wood I think is quite fancy as well, but it's actually the least popular.
Do you have to do something to unlock the Relic style wood? I feel like that's not one of the ones that's immediately available to you. If that makes sense, that would explain why it's
it does. I do like how people are saying instantly play your own house rework. I think it was just a lovely piece to share. Someone asked for it, and we had the data. It was relatively easily accessible for us, so we thought we'll share it with you all. There's a player asking, can you talk at all about how you grab this data or how it's stored? I mean, we track an awful lot of things in game, and that goes into massive databases. And then we've got wizards. I would call them data wizards, and they are truly wizards.
That is accurate.
And they, like, you can almost ask them any question, and then in a couple of days they'll come back to you. I mean. I don't think we do a lot with it. We do have bits in SQL, but not everything. SQL is not the best way to store stuff. I think we're using an awful lot of different types because one thing you want to store in one type of database and something else in a different type of database. So it is really, and like the amounts of data that come in are massive. Like I'll tell this lovely anecdote of one of the colleagues. They joined, and this person was like. The teacher to that person says, like, well, you finish your data science course, never expect to work with mega data sets and stuff because not a lot of companies have those. And she did the graduation here, and when the person presented the paper to the university, they were like, holy shit, this is I've never even seen a data set that big. So that like everything gets tracked, kind of, which is just insane. So if we have a question,
number of how many data feeds were there,
I don't want to guess on that.
It's incredible. No, I don't. But it's incredible the amount of stuff they do. Like almost everything that happens in the game is tracked somewhere at least and kept for at least a short time.
If we've got a question, they will most likely be able to find an answer one way or another, which is pretty cool. Cool. That means, as well, with this final slide, we have reached the end of. We should go back all the way to the beginning. What was the name? What name did we give it?
There you go.
This was the end of RuneScape by the numbers. Thank you very well for watching my PowerPoint presentation. I hope you enjoyed it. Which is pretty cool. If there are things that you really want to hear about as well, I know quite a few people are interested in bosses. So let me know the questions as well, and I'll see if we can dig something up, and maybe we can do a second one or a smaller version of this.
Oh no, it's given me an idea now that we should try and get the stats and the bosses and do top trumps. Who's got the highest average kill count per day? Who's got the most kills, most deaths? Best average loot drop value?
That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, we
But
should
yeah,
have to
if
investigate
you've got any,
villages.
if you've got any questions, or if you want to know specific amount of deaths on average by a boss or creature, tweet them at me, and I'll try and answer a couple of them. Jagex Spooky plugging myself. That's also Jagex Spear. Make sure you follow him as well. He's a pretty cool dude. And if there are other bigger questions you've not seen answered, please tweet them at me as well, because then we can store them for next time we do a data stream, and then we can potentially answer them. Because a lot of the questions that we got this time we had to partially come up with ourselves. Which is cool. Before we go, I'll say one thing, and we talked about this. I know Shawnee always has been a massive fan of doing the pet dry streaks. And the reason we've kind of not included it in this one is because almost each skill, their skill, has at least one person that is basically 200 mil dry now, with the exception of Archaeology. And I'll read that one out right now. And this is as of the 23rd of April as well. So it could have, the person could since then have had a pet, but on the 23rd
We'd
of
love
April,
to hear you had, because we'll stop feeling bad about it.
Yeah, there was someone who had an 180 mil 650,000 778 XP dry streak for the Archaeology pet. So if you've not had your pet, there is still hope for you.
I feel so bad about getting it at level 30 something now.
But in every other skill other than Archaeology, there are multiple people who have 200 mil dry streaks for all skilling pets and combat pets as well.
Yeah, that's rough.
So, yes, exactly. Is there anything you want to say? Because otherwise I'm going to go for a nice goodbye again.
And I'm probably going to hit the button too early and cut you off in that goodbye, but I'll leave you to it.
Again. I've been asked to not say the word y'all today as well. So I would like to do this as a shout out to Mod JD and Mod Curry in particular. Y'all, look after yourselves.